I don't want to ruffle feathers. But Mary,
I don't care. So.
Yep, and that's what I appreciate about her.
I'm little, but I don't care. Also.
All right. So next up, we have a high power, high energy dude who I had the pleasure of meeting. I guess it was 2 years ago? Almost 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Or about 2 years ago. He doesn't just talk it. He really lives it. Probably more than he probably needs to for both himself and for his brand. He's not afraid to live the fuel, if I may say so. Hinting at it. Everyone, give it up for Scott Mulvaney. Nice vest and suit, by the way. He's always well dressed.
Oh, we'll get to that.
For his talks.
Actually, it's alright if I relax a little bit. I can
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to get to something by the end of the conversation, but in case you notice, there's a few other people here wearing vests today. But I'll explain that in a second. So I wear this suit because if you remember, Joe, last year I was talking about how a famous quote from Richard Branson, and he said, "I want to make my money in jeans and spend it in a suit." So I'm a former corporate guy, and then actually, technically I go way back. I grew up as a farm kid. I was milking cows at 12, 13 years old. My first job was at a dairy farm when I wasn't washing dishes at a restaurant. So I started working with 2 jobs at 14. And then I started chasing the corporate dreams and thinking that I wanted to go to college and try going to college while paying my way and working full-time. FYI, that'll burn you out. Taking time off, getting into startup companies, yada, yada, yada. Then I decided to chase the corporate stuff, chasing the dollars. This discussion today is around lifestyle. And then part of the brand, LIVETHEFUEL, was because I gave that all up and decided to go become a hotshot wildland firefighter with the federal government, which is literally fighting wildfires out west. And I was called the old guy because I was 31, 32 years old, and everybody was 18 to 22. Even a 17-year-old, actually, which was really weird. So, old guy. Now I'm 40. I'll be 41 in a few weeks. So, on your timeline, Joe, my podcast, LIVETHEFUEL, we fuel your health, business, and lifestyle, was founded 4 days ago, 2 years ago. So I founded it the week of MAPCON, came here to surround myself with fellow professionals since I knew nothing about podcasting. And then obviously came and spoke last year, thanks to him inviting me back. And now I get to talk a little bit longer this year. So no challenge there, because according to my fiance, I talk too much. So, real quick question. Does anybody have significant others that says you talk too much? That's okay. Be proud, okay? She actually said that she's still not sure if the podcast has calmed that down or made it worse. So, I don't know if that comes up in conversation at all. So, and obviously, you guys, we were on Team 7 earlier. I was the crazy high energy guy. Joe kind of hinted that, am I channeling something real from my lifestyle? To be fair, I'm not married yet. I'm engaged. I was a self-proclaimed bachelor for a long time. And I'm not a romance guru, not a romantic expert at all. And my fiance broke up with me coming up on 1 year of dating because my head was so far up my butt. So here's a little hint on lifestyle. Podcasting helps you become more authentic. Where's Nick? No. There you go, authenticity. So now I really don't care what I bring up on the show. And part of that is the discussion around lifestyle is that I decided that I think it's important to share more of it. And Joe's right, I'm a little weird to some people. I do a lot of crazy adrenaline junkie stuff because I do believe that life is short. If I can share a personal story that means a lot to me right now, it does drive a lot of emotion. Is that okay? Am I cool? Okay. So, has anyone heard of the Fallen 19? The Granite Mountain Hotshots? Yeah. Okay, you've heard of it? All right. So, let me tell you a little story about that because this is something more recent and it happened after my fire career. But I served in 2010 and 2011. I was with the Pleasant Valley interagency hotshot crew. They then rebranded and moved because hiring was so hard to find weirdos like me that were willing to live in the middle of nowhere in the mountains. So they moved it closer to Phoenix. for hiring purposes. So now they're based in Mesa. So they've been rebranded as Mesa Hot Shots, if you want to look them up. It's just 20 dudes or ladies that are really dirty, and you don't shower for 2 weeks, and you look like you've been on fire. So the point is, I got to meet an amazing crew called the Grand Mountain Hot Shots. And we served together on a couple of fires. They were based outside of Prescott, Arizona. It's not Prescott. I learned it's Prescott. So once you live there for a couple of years, they're happy to correct your grammar. And I was the East Coaster, so I was born in Jersey. Anyway, so the point of the story is we got to serve a few fires together. And then I got out. I realized the lifestyle was just nuts. I'd already been through so many career shifts, and obviously still not a podcaster yet, but it was such an extreme lifestyle, which was right up my alley, but it was so far extreme that I was like, dude, you're doing 16-hour shifts in a fire line, 2 weeks straight without a day off. Then you earn your days off for health and rest and recovery, and then you're right back at it again. So that if your fire didn't last the full 2 weeks, then you're floating. So sometimes you might travel for a month and a half until you hit your full 14 fire days before you get real days off where you're allowed to actually not be within 2 hours of callback. FYI, my base was in the Pleasant Valley Mountains of Arizona, and I was 3 hours from Flagstaff and 3 hours from Scottsdale, Phoenix. So I didn't have a lot of places to go and hang out on my callback days off. So part of this lifestyle story is that, fast forward, right? I got to meet the Grand Mountain Hot Shots, served my 2 years, moved to Colorado because I love the lifestyle there. I got to fight a fire there in 2010, and I was like, ooh, I want to move here. But it's not burning. It's beautiful. And so I moved to Harriman and Denver area. There's Golden, Boulder. I live right in Golden. So right at the foot of the Front Range, beautiful. Boulder's famous for the flat irons, amazing hiking. Please go there, highly recommend it. So then, anyway, long story short, I eventually moved back here to the East Coast. And the lifestyle component was a bit of a struggle because I went from 2 years of crazy firefighting, living with dudes in the mountains, to living in Colorado and hiking 14ers and skydiving and just still living in a transitional state. And then I moved back here to the East Coast, meet the now fiance, and FYI, I get yelled at. Not yelled at. She doesn't like when I talk about her on the podcast. So she's like, why do you keep talking about me on the podcast? And I said, because I'm trying to be more transparent and more authentic, and you're part of my life now. And I said, to be fair, you broke up with me because I wasn't being authentic enough, and I wasn't being vulnerable, and I wasn't letting you into my life. You're all in now. This is what you wanted. Obviously, she's not the core part of the show. And she says she never will be. So unless I become Joe Rogan, then she will listen to the show. So I've got goals. So anyway, part of this, the story is the Grand Mountain Hot Shots. They unfortunately were burned over on June 30th, 2013 on the Yarnell Hill Fire. And it's taken a few years to get some more exposure for them, but I wanted to include them in my conversation with you all today because I never want their memory being lost because it is literally the worst firefighting tragedy since 9/11. It just existed in Arizona, and most people didn't even know what a hot shot was. So part of that story is it was an extreme life, it was an extreme shift, and when they were killed, only one guy was left alive, only because he was in a lookout position, so he was able to make it to the safety zone and wait for his guys, and he's the poor guy that has to hear over the radio's going silent, and people can't raise the crew anymore, because right before the radios went silent, you hear a freight train, which is Mother Nature, coming down on you. I'll just say I've been chased out by fire, it's not fun. And it does sound like a freight train, you can't hear a thing. So, that happens, they're gone, they leave behind wives, children, families, etc. And the lifestyle component was, wow, so did I make the right decision? Well, clearly, my parents were kind enough to remind me, once that happened, of why they were happy that I stopped being a hotshot. And part of the lifestyle piece was I didn't realize that I was so self-centered on me going to do that I did not bother even caring what anybody thought. I was like, it starts way to the highway, I'm going west, screw corporate dreams. And obviously after that, and then after their passing, I got better at talking and letting the walls down and letting the family in. And then I found out from my mother and my father that oh yeah, we worried about that every single day you were out there. And I was like, oh, oops, that's not good. So because I was gone for a couple of months, I just figured they'd be proud of me because I'm serving in public service. You don't think about everybody else. Your closest friends who thought you were crazy. The fact that I literally psychologically unplugged from really connecting with anybody over those 2-3 years because I didn't want to worry about the emotions getting in the way. I wanted to focus on serving, and that was it. And I'm gonna give a shout out to Raph. I've served SRBD because he and I connect very well now because of what he's doing for the military and his brand. So shout out, Raph. And but the point here of this story is lifestyles are constantly going to be shifting. And I found that even though I'm not firefighting anymore, I'm not in the corporate world anymore, and I'm an entrepreneur, and now I have a 2-year-old podcast show with 210 shows online, I'm still shifting. It's still happening. And after speaking last year and realizing coming back this year, I've now talked to a few up-and-coming podcasters, and I am not a podcast coach, okay? You got way better people here to do that. But people connect with me who have heard the show. We talked about this, every presenter kind of hints at this, that certain people just vibe with you. They like my silly, crazy lifestyle. They want to talk. And next thing you know, I'm putting slots on my website so people can book time with me because they just want to talk about it. I'm not having them hire me to help them launch a podcast. I'm just trying to move them in that right direction. But the side effect of that story, the side effect of the lifestyle shifts, what I realized was podcasting is not always that easy. I mean, yes, I launched back in, on September 4th, 2016, and then came here. But it took how many months prior to that? It took going on to different podcast gurus' sites and studying what they're doing. And then, to this day, I've never edited a show. I've outsourced it since day one because I just don't care. I'm like, I'll just pay somebody to do it if I had to because I just don't want to deal with it. I always tell people to play to your strengths. I don't want to sit there and drag and drop. I don't care how easy it is. I just don't want to deal with it. I want to focus on talking to my guest co-hosts and getting to know these people and learning their lifestyle shifts and what they've struggled with. Because again, we talk about health, business, and lifestyle on my show because, and I'll put the question to the audience, have all of you at least once in your life struggled with balancing those 3 areas?
Oh, yeah. Of course.
Okay, so it's not unrealistic that people are struggling with this. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this in today's presentation is because the first year of podcasting, I take my stuff way too seriously. I'm a little too driven to a fault. And I remember being frustrated with my girlfriend at the time, now fiance, because she was interrupting me when I'm about to go record a podcast. And FYI, that does not go over very well. But my head was it's still being pulled out of my butt. For you ladies out there, you probably appreciate that. So the struggle's real. And so she's always reminding me, like, I thought this podcast was supposed to be fun. I thought you were doing this to create balance. I thought you were doing this to get other people's messages out there. So she's very kind enough to remind me of that. And I'm very kindly reminded when I come to events like this that there's other podcasters that literally probably haven't launched because they're afraid of those shifts. Like, oh my God, how am I going to find the time to even record with somebody or record myself? Or do I have a quiet enough closet? Or is my coonhound, I have an English red to coonhound, going to howl in the middle of the show, even though you have the door closed? So I just shared an Instagram throwback 2 days ago because I forgot that I had a little handmade sign with a red heart from my fiance saying, please keep Calvin quiet, or something like that. Because he was just always kind enough to howl during the show. 2 years later, I really don't care anymore. He's part of my life. He's part of my lifestyle. He's part of that the authenticity. So 2 years of podcasting is nothing compared to 12-year plus people out here. But I think it's important for us all to be reminded that the struggle's going to keep happening. Your life's going to shift. If you have kids, you're going to have them get injured. Career shifts. Unfortunately, some people might become single versus married. Moving on, becoming strong, independent female entrepreneurs. Shout out, Erica. So she totally walked in front of my Facebook Live earlier. Yeah, I'm gonna tag you in that, by the way. So part of this presentation is sharing that it's okay, and actually I go to a lot of motivational entrepreneurial conferences. I don't just go to podcast conferences, and the biggest lessons that I learned are around embracing those shifts, embracing the lifestyle shifts. Because if you truly care about becoming a podcaster, you need to suck it up. I mean, obviously my mug says fuel up, but suck it up because you're creating something new. You're creating something different. You're trying to get your message out there to people who want it and need it. And when you connect with the right audiences, the more authenticity you start sharing, the more people are going to connect with you. I never expected people to reach out to me to talk to them about how I launched my show. Like, I'm just turning it on. I mean, I'm not a coach for podcasters, but they appreciate hearing the lifestyle shifts and the transparency, and some of you might never do that. But in the past year alone, actually say past 3 months, I've shared stuff on my show that I've never shared with people. I've talked about the first time I ate a special brownie. I was channeling Joe Rogan there. I had a brownie after biking 100 miles, raising money for MS. Right here is an event called City to the Shore, goes from Philadelphia to St. Jersey back. I'm a big road cyclist. Never did it. I'm hanging out with like very successful lawyers and doctors who are like, hey, make sure you hit your brownie. I'm like, you guys are professionals. He's like, suck it up, dude. He's like, we just biked 100 miles. You're raising money for mankind. Hit a brownie. So that was the first time I ever did marijuana. So, not my normal part of my lifestyle. But now I share it because I don't care. I now literally bring up the struggles of my relationship because that is actually one of my biggest weaknesses. I never let people into my heart. I never wanted to risk, oh God, Scott's a crazy adrenaline junkie, so that's not going to really balance with my brand. You know, I got fire in my logo. And it's like, okay, this was a great epiphany that came up on a couple podcasts where it was like, thanks to her breaking up with me, I mean, realizing that my lifestyle was not balanced. I was so driven by business, so driven by succeeding with the podcast that I was ignoring my heart. And I wasn't allowing that to open and let it flow. And it's still happening. I still have to struggle with it because, I mean, you spend 3 years out as a bachelor, it's not easy to turn that off. But part of that messaging is that if I can go full circle back to the Grand Mountain Hotshots, the epiphany I had was when, and I'm going to recommend this to you guys, is that they actually made a movie in honor of the memory called Only the Brave.
Yeah.
And I literally, I have sleeves on, but I have chills when I talk about the movie because they set the movie in 2010 and 2011 when I served. They talk about a fire in that movie called the Horseshoe Fire. We served on the same division in that fire, camping on the side of the mountains. We were flown in by a helicopter. Like, we literally had a late night gravy competition. FYI, when you camp out, they do a long line cargo net of food in 5-gallon buckets, and you set up a chow line of 5-gallon buckets. Talk about lifestyle shit. And it's like a chow hall. You just start popping lids off the 5-gallon buckets and throwing pork chops and a giant ladle of gravy on your plate. It's not really the peak nutrition that I highly recommend today. But back then it didn't matter. You just had to have food on the side of the mountain. But I remember at the end of the night, like, hey, there's a half a gallon of gravy here. Well, let's create a hot shot challenge. Who can chug as much gravy and not throw up? Everybody's throwing down cash, money. Oh yeah, the pot got hit like $500. It was awesome. The videos afterwards were not pretty. Do not chug gravy. Okay, just don't do it. Okay, but the one rookie, he did. I mean, I was technically a rookie, but I was older. I'm the old guy. I have a freaking clue. That's not going to go well. So, lifestyle people. Anyway, so go see Only the Brave because if nothing else came out of this presentation today, I want to make sure that their memory continues to live on. I run, last weekend I just ran it again. I run an annual Hot Shots 19 is a CrossFit Heroes workout that was created in the memory. I now run an annual charity event in the memory. So we've raised tons of money over the years for the families, the children of these fallen heroes, and like those kids will never have to worry about paying for school. We've done a lot of publicity of the memory. But I'd like to channel the firefighting experience because if I hadn't gone firefighting, Live the Fuel was never created. The fire in my logo came from that. The struggle of balancing your health, business, and lifestyle. Like during that time, there was no business. I was just all fire, all service, and struggling to stay healthy and fit, and then struggling by not having any romantic endeavors in my life, staying cold. So I wasn't very well balanced. So I channeled that into my show, and my co-hosts, because I don't bring on interviews, I don't interview people, I also do a co-hosting format. I think Nick, you actually mentioned that as well. So I want people to get comfortable. I don't do Q&A format, I do open conversation, because every single co-host who comes on, including Joe's been on twice, it's about breaking the walls down and getting people comfortable. Part of that comfort is Real quick, I'm not on time, by the way. Oh, perfect. Perfect transition. I need to have the rest of the 3 amigos up front here, please. Bring it up, boys. Come on. So please welcome the rest of my vest buddies. This is Nick. He spoke earlier today, and here's the great Raph of Served, SRBD.
Yeah.
So I wanted to bring them up because we're matchy today, and I wanted to share that story at the end of the little lifestyle shift because. Yeah, you're on the video now. This is Facebook Live. So, suck it up, Buttercup. Suck it up. All right, embrace the challenge. It's okay, people. You can do Facebook Live once in a while, even if you're a podcaster. So, the best thing happened last year. There's a lot of people here, including Dave Jackson, that ended up on the episode 112. Well, how did you call it? Or you called it the ADD thing?
Yeah.
Do not go back and listen to that episode on my LIVETHEFUEL show unless you have ADD.
No, you will know at the end of that show if you have ADD. If you followed that whole entire 2 hours
It's gone off.
and you understand everything, you have ADD.
Basically, take all of your episodes and play them over each other at the same time. That was pretty much the podcast.
I added some alcohol. It was the event had closed out. And I just set up microphones and just saw what would happen. And then people started walking up. Like, one co-host would leave, I gotta go and see my family. All of a sudden, someone sits back down. Next thing you know, Dave Jackson's sitting there at the end, and it went like over 2 hours. I just didn't hit stop.
We
I
had
just kept going.
Sophia the wise one.
Yep, Sophia was in there. There was a whole mess. Fish Nerds. There was actually 8 different guest co-hosts that evening. But I want to bring them up because we joked around about how I vested up last year, right? This is not my normal lifestyle. I respect you guys enough that I want to come up and I want to show up in my full authenticity, but then take the jacket off because I want to. And hey, I'm going to rock my hat because I love wearing hats. So I'm not always, all pretty-ish looking. I'm not really pretty. Yeah, this is pretty.
You
Yeah.
came with the big old vest, and we're
Yeah.
like, "What's up with this guy?"
Yeah,
Who's
he
this
loved the
guy?
vest. He loved the
Bruce
vest.
Wayne. Remember, someone thought you were Bruce Wayne.
Oh, yeah, what's your name, son?
Yeah,
What's your name, son? Call me Bruce Wayne. I was like, dude, I have some, all right, pays wear a suit. So anyway, I just want to share this because, number one, I wanted to share my stage with them, and because you did an awesome job earlier. And Joe, can we get him on stage next year?
I think so.
We need Served's story in front of everybody. So that was why I wanted to bring him up today.
So
All right?
they're teasing me because last year both Nick and Scott got 8 minutes. And then Harry Duran was doing a little rap yesterday, and he was teasing Nick that he went from 8 minutes to 22 minutes. So they're growing up, right? Well, then today I was sitting around here and I said, well, you know what? I went from 0 minutes to 0 minutes. So I got 1 minute. So I'm at 1 minute this year.
You're no longer a virgin.
You can get a minute.
There we go. All right. Well, anyway, that's right. These are, I literally rented these yesterday from a tuxedo shop next to me, so we can matchy. So, thank you for rocking them and getting outside your comfort zone. So, yeah.
Thank you.
There we go. Hold on, let's do a little closer.
For the brochure.
For the brochure.
Oh, that's so cute.
It's a romance. I'm all right with it.
All right, clear romance right here.
But we met for the first time ever last year,
Here.
and the relationship as it's grown. So that's what we're trying to say with this is that from the folks that you see here today, you're going to meet relationships that are going to carry on for years and years and years. So that's really cool.
Keep connecting each other.
All right.
Romance.
Give it up for Scott Mulvaney. All right. Great job, Scott. Yeah. Thank you. Scott Mulvaney, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
You got
Shut the lock down.
You probably ducked into the frame anyway.
That's
all
all
right. All right. So coming up at 3 o'clock, we have our giveaway. Not only are we giving away this Tascam mini studio, if you